have you flown here before?
This will be my first time here.
Okay, have you flown in high wind launches?
Relatively.
Okay, well, great.
Yeah, so amazing. He's like, yo, have you done this before? I'm like, not totally. And he's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna help you out, buddy. So I'm just trying to get everything balanced out here. Trying to figure out what's actually lifting, if they're putting any pressure on the wires, what exactly is going on. It's a tricky situation to figure out. Huge shout out, Lil John. Thank you so much for the help at launch here. Really well said on everything. So I'm feeling just a lot of lift on the right side, but not a lot on the left side.
You can't pivot right because he's holding it. So.
I'm not holding that.
So I feel like I want to get my left wing out a little farther.
Okay.
So it's really interesting watching this back, and I just remember that feeling of, I really felt that imbalance of my right wing lifting a lot more, and I thought it was because of the way that they were pulling on the wires. But looking at it now, they're not even touching the wires. It's just completely how the airflow is hitting it. Super wild feeling. Just with that one wing wanting to lift way more than the other, just because I was still a little bit crossed in the flow. So it actually wasn't as bad as I thought at all taking off. Like, I just ran it out, super smooth, felt really nice, and it was a huge relief. I didn't have to do any big crazy moves, because I remember talking with Willie on the phone before this, and he's like, you know, you might want to hug your left like hip really fast to kind of balance things out, but it actually worked out great, and it basically was just a straight takeoff because I had really straight wind right at launch. So just cruising out here, I'm processing a lot in my head right now. Completely new environment as far as ridge soaring, low altitude like this from a launch. So I'm just kind of really overwhelmed in my head thinking about stuff right now. Woo! So nervous. So fucking nervous. But we are up, boys. This is beautiful. Oh my gosh, beautiful. So yeah, I'm just excited, relieved, kind of processing, taking everything in, getting a feel for it, realizing that I'm not gonna die. It's crazy just looking at it. I mean, I'm not moving at all, just kind of slowly rising up a little bit. It feels very wild, super interesting feeling, and just an amazing feeling being up here. Wow, I'm shaking. I'm so nervous. I'm quite literally quaking in my boots. Yeah, so I'm super nervous. Just, it's such a different feeling hovering, being up there. Just completely different, unknown feeling to basically any flying that I've done before, which really surprised me. I didn't expect it to be that different. Wow, stoking big time. Oh my gosh, this is epic. Woo! Anything cold. Yeah, so saying if anything, I'm a little bit chilly there. Probably could have brought a little bit more of a layer. On the ground, it was really hard to tell. I had like sun on my back, I was heating up. I didn't want to get too sweaty, but at the same time, I think I should have just dressed a little warm, because this flight in the previous flight was just like on the cusp of cold. That was a great temp, but could have been just slightly warmer. Yul, did you got your radio on?
Hey, somebody to talk to.
Yes, lowrider, I'm up at about 430 feet right now.
Alright, nice one. We'll have an awesome flight. If it starts getting bumpy or hard to go forward, you might think about landing. Otherwise, have fun.
Good copy, thanks. Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Is anyone else flying with you?
Chris Goulden is up. I think he's above and behind me, but no radio.
Nice.
So some really good advice from Willie there. Bumpy or hard to stay in a position. Think about landing. I really was thinking about that the whole time. Kind of like almost too much, but not too much. But like to a point where I was like, oh boy, like, is it getting bumpy? Is it getting bumpy? Is it time to land? Am I having trouble moving forward? Probably good things to think about, but I definitely got a little bit in my head about it, just like constantly worrying about it.
Well, I fuck with the ridge soar, bro. This is sick. This is so cool.
Chris Goulden launched right before me, and he launched actually kind of far back from the edge of the slope. Not like really far back, but like a foot farther back than I thought. But did it completely by himself. Super impressive. Great ground control of the glider. Really talented pilot.
You don't really need the instruments, so I'm just gonna fold that away, get that out of the field of view. Man, this is amazing.
Yeah, so as we can see, I'm just slowly ticking up in altitude here, and I'm really not moving over the ground much at all. So we see my ground speed is bouncing around, 2 to 10 miles an hour, just kind of depending on which way I'm crabbing in the wind there. And then the altitude's just slowly rising up and up, and that's why I took away my phone, my instrument. I got the beep from the Vario, just, steadily beeping, which is nice, letting me know I'm still getting lift, not sinking down. But I can visually see that really well as well. But yeah, very interesting just how that plays out as far as you're just hanging out, basically not moving. It's like I've always, as a child and as an adult, just watched birds on cliffs like this, just hovering there, changing how their wings are angled, like kind of folding them in, on the outside when they want to speed up. It's just really interesting to finally be in that position, because it's something I've kind of always dreamed about doing, and to actually do it and actually just be up there like a bird, unreal. And just eventually it really starts to feel like you're just existing like you're not flying, you're just existing at that altitude, almost like you're just like looking over a balcony. Or it's just like you've been born at that altitude. I don't even know how to describe it, but it starts to feel very normal, surprisingly fast. Like I'm not surprised to be in the air. Like my brain's already normalizing this experience in the air to the point where I'm just like, okay, this is where my body, my point of reference is in general. Super strange feeling. But this will be a very interesting edit, and the first time that I've really done this, where I'm chopping out significant amounts of flight time and chopping out some in-flight dialogue. In fact, there's a lot of, I see my little transcription marks here. A lot of those will be cut out, because I'm just saying, man, this is crazy, man, this is cool, which is very important content, but I don't think it's as much value to the viewer. And so I'll include some of it, but not all of it.
Oh my god. It's a dead dolphin.
Dead dolphin on the beach. Super wild. Never seen a dead dolphin washed up, or in the ocean for that matter. Kind of blood coming out of it. Birds checking it out all day. Really interesting. And that was a landmark of sorts. I would be curious if I was supposed to call it in. There's people walking by, so there's a little bit of shared social birding there, but I felt like I should have called it in, and I didn't, so I still got that hanging on me. So just keep an eye on that time in the bottom left of your screen. That is my actual time in flight. It's not tracking with the timeline of the video like usual, because, well, I was enjoying every second of this flight, without a doubt, in the air. I gotta say, watching it back, a lot of this looks like I'm just looking at a picture, which is a great picture, but I don't think you guys need to see a full 65 minutes of me hovering in one place. I'm gonna be real. If you want to, let me know. I have no problem at all uploading the entire video as a separate video for those enthusiastic people out there that just want to see the whole thing, skip around, see whatever you want. Totally cool with that. I'm not paying YouTube to store stuff on there. I have the footage on my computer. Easily could upload it. Let me know.
I still gotta land this thing, so I'm a little nervous, no lie. But this is absolutely amazing. It's so cool watching the waves from above. So I'm just launching up here, just slowly pushing out, finding out like kind of closer-ish to stall speed, but just still getting great lift.
The ground speed's really interesting to me. There's a lot of times where it's gonna be sitting at 0. That was really interesting.
I'm at 750. Crazy.
Watching these waves from above is amazing. I've seen a lot of aerial drone footage just watching waves crash on a beach. Looks beautiful. Trust me, in person it looks even cooler. Totally amazing. Highly recommend ridge soaring if you have any access to a glider or are thinking about gliding. Do it. Highly recommend it. Amazing views up there. Just very relaxing. It's like I was saying to everyone that was asking me how it was. It's very zen. It's much more like zen, relaxed, thoughtful, present than mountain hang gliding, because I'm not like worried about, oh, I have to make it over this ridge. Oh, there's a power line coming up. I gotta watch out for that. The only concern I have is landing for this flight, and mostly not landing in the water. And I'm above a landing zone the whole time. Like, I could land anywhere on this beach if it really came down to it. Ideally, I'm gonna land a little bit east, like south, behind me right now. But I could land anywhere, so it's not a huge deal. There's no like big requirement. I have plenty of altitude to get there. Huge relaxing factor, and just not moving around at all, not having to navigate, makes things much, 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 much easier.
Launch was very interesting. It was like, I felt terrified at first kind of, but once I like realized that the guys weren't holding anything down and I was actually just kind of holding it myself, and it actually wasn't too bad. And I realized I was going to be pretty good, and I just waited till I felt like a good, like clear, level amount of wings, and then went for it, and it worked out pretty nice. Arm's getting a little sore, my right elbow, so I'm kind of resting it here. Feeling good overall though, so stoked to be up here. Kind of losing my lift, low-key. Okay, yeah, so I think I was out a little bit too far up, past and above like the beach, ocean area. Got to really be back by this point here to get the lift going, and man, it just rips you right up. That is nice. Definitely nervous about the landing, not gonna lie, but I'm liking the amount of beach I'm seeing. That's pretty nice.
And so we can see every time I pull in or move away from that pointed ridge, that's where a lot of the lift is being generated. I really start to sink down. Not a lot, not like crazy low, but it's just very interesting to see like where those narrow-ish lift bands are, and as soon as I pop out of those, I'm just not getting lift anymore, which is really interesting.
Whoa. A little bumpy.
Commenting there, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous about the landing. It's definitely, I'm thinking about when I need to land a lot. Like, I'm like, is it getting bumpy? Is it getting bumpy? Am I having trouble going forward? Am I having trouble penetrating into this wind flow? I'm worried about landing. It's gonna be completely new. Definitely super nervous about it. A little bit of foreshadowing. I kind of revert back to my like infant hang glider self, in that I kind of unlearn a lot of like the good muscle memory that I've built up, and just stick around to the landing if you want to see what that is, what I'm talking about though. So I'm saying it's a little terrifying, a little bit scary, and it was, because what was happening is I was getting a little bit higher, getting above, you know, a certain amount of like 700 feet. And actually I think part of it too is just my positioning, getting closer above launch area, just the way that the wind is picking up started to get a lot more bumpy, and that was really scaring me, because I have in my head those words echoing from Willie: if it gets a little bumpy, go for the landing. So every time I feel just a little tiny bump on this flight, I'm like, oh crap, should I be landing? And I think looking back on it, that like probably, and I don't think it's a bad thing, made me really cautious during this flight. I think if I flew this again, I'd be probably having a little more fun playing around, pulling in, checking stuff out, going back and forth. But I'm glad I took it chill for this first one. But yeah, just really in my head about any bump, I'm like, oh crap, should I be landing? Should I be landing? Should I be landing? Especially because I'm the only single surface glider in town. Chris Goulden on the other single surface glider, I believe he also has a Falcon. I can't remember if it's a 3 or a 4. I already flew down to Ventura, so it's just me hanging out here. And there's no one really to be like, hey, I'm gonna land, you should do this. Nothing like that, nothing. It's just me making these calls. Willie's on the radio, but he's in a different area. He can't exactly tell me what to do.
You might want to land.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think once I get above like 800 feet, it feels a little bit bumpy, but I'm pushing out and still able to maintain position and get lift, so.
Yeah, you should be good. Reminder on the landing, you might not need to flare much. Just focus on staying out of the ocean. If it's really windy and hard to turn around, I'm not sure if I showed you how to unhook the nose wires and lay the glider down on the sand, but you can do that into the wind to break it down if you need to.
Yeah, I remember going over that with you.
Yeah, just don't let go of the nose.
Good tips from Willie, good tips from Willie. We got the boys messing around down there. I don't know what they're gonna do. Not gonna lie, paragliders making me kind of jealous, having fun down low, but I'm loving life up here too, so a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Is anyone else flying or just you there at base?
There's a paraglider down low and then Devin and another guy setting up, but they haven't launched yet.
Roger.
I'm wishing I had helmet integrated push to talk.
Nice. Yeah, your radio sounds good.
Sweet. Yeah, it's just the only thing is I hate taking my hand off the bar to press the push to talk, but other than that, it's feeling good.
Alright, here's your radio handle. How about your low rider? What's your 20?
This is Lowrider. I'm at about 7:30 above the launch here at base. Over and out.
That's awesome. Glad you got to fly.
Me too, me too. Fuck working, dude. This is way better. This is so crazy pulling in, just feeling the wind accelerating and just slightly moving forward. It's such a weird feeling, like for normal hang gliding. I'm not used to it at all. Ridge soaring is awesome. I'm liking this a lot. Apparently Goulden is down by Ventura, trying to see if I can spot him. Don't think I got the eagle eyes quite dialed in for that. It's kind of over my shoulder and pretty far down with a cloud scattered background, but allegedly Willie just saw him somewhere down there, so he's ripping it. That's awesome. And just, yeah, waiting to see if my boys here are gonna launch. It's I don't know what they're up to. I don't think I've gotten above 800 feet, so it's kind of interesting trying to figure out. I mean, I'm assuming there's some theoretical max on the mechanical lift, but I would imagine it's higher than what I'm getting right now, just because I'm still getting some lift even at 780, 90 here. But just curious how that works out. I'm not totally sure. Well, there it is, 800. Wonder how high I can get. I'm gonna try to just get up there and see what happens. There's a little bit of bar push out and I get that lift. I seem to slide back a little bit up here though, hard to say for sure. I assume at some point I'm gonna pop out of whatever this lift is coming off of this ridge, but hard to say. Man, it's been 30 minutes. Let's go. Yeah, I think I can hit 1,000 no problem up here. Oh, we're gonna hit 1,000 no problem. And I'm pulling forward still while I'm pushing out, so that gives me good indication based on what Willie's saying that the wind is definitely not too strong yet, because I'm able to go forward without pulling in at all. And so that's a good sign that the wind's not too strong.
See, I'm looking down at the boys at the launch ramp. I'm seeing LJ, one of the guys who helped me on the wires, and then Devin, who was kiting around a paraglider earlier, and he was standing behind my tail at launch. I'm watching them, and they're hanging out, and they haven't taken off yet. I'm like, what is going on? Is it getting that strong down there? What's happening? I talked to Devin afterwards. He said that it did get a little bit too strong for him. He's also on a single surface like me. He said he was kiting it around, and then as soon as he got to go get his harness, when it started feeling good, he came back, and it was already too strong. I remember Willie saying that to me, that it could just really be a small takeoff window. I'm okay, more okay in the air, but the takeoff window could be really narrow just because of the nature of this takeoff, how you're so close to the ground. It can't be too strong, can't be too light, kind of be in this narrow little window, especially for a novice like me on an intermediate low-ish performance glider. And then so really what was getting in my head, I'm like, I'm watching LJ, who's got a much higher performance dual surface glider, and he hasn't taken off yet. So I'm like, what is going on? Why hasn't he taken off? Why hasn't he taken off? Eventually he takes off, everything's totally fine, but I was just like kind of worrying about that as well, because that's one of the indicators that I had of like, what's going on? These guys weren't on the radio yet until they took off, and so I was just like, what is going on? Like, what is it? I don't know.
Shopping coming out here. Yep, lost 100 feet already. Just really make a move on it. See what we got back here. It's chilly. My face is almost getting a little bit cold. Shadow's a good indicator of where I'm moving relative down there. It's kind of hard to tell, honestly, how much I'm moving just based on where I'm at in the air, but the shadow's a really nice guide for that. The boys a little shade, that's pretty funny. Literally throwing shade at the boys. This is sick, actually. Love playing with that shadow, actually. That's so fun. It's crazy. I feel like I'm just, well, literally hanging in the air, which is true. Maybe that's why they call it hang gliding, but it's nuts. I don't even feel like I'm flying at this point. Like, I feel like I'm just like standing on a skyscraper looking down. It's so steady. It's cool. Oh, making some moves down there. Let's cruise back down. Yeehaw. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. That's awesome. Oh, that's cool. It is beautiful out. I love America. I love nature. I love life right now. This is cool. It's much less adrenaline pumpy, honestly, than being up in the mountains. I like it. It's like much more zen out here. We're gonna rip my first hang gliding snot rocket. Definitely a bucket list item off the mark right there. Next up's the pisser. I don't think it's gonna happen on this flight, but we'll see.
So yeah, I'm saying I'm going up and down, and looking at the video, it really doesn't look like I'm moving that far. I'm moving some. And it actually felt like a lot more. Every time that I'm like pulling in, losing my altitude, and moving west, north on the beach to my glider's right, true glider's right, screen left, it's a lot of speed. My ground speed is still staying super low, 10, 15. But my airspeed is probably pushing 30. And so I'm pulling in a serious amount. Like the air's really rushing by. It's not the fastest I've ever flown in air, like airspeed wise, but it's up there. Like I'm seriously cooking. Like I could get some pilot induced oscillations, PIOs, like very easily. So I'm pretty locked in every time I'm moving up there, trying to be aware of my altitude. I think in hindsight, and this is maybe not even a hindsight, but next time, what I'd love to play around with more is pulling in even more, maybe not like crazy for the speed, but pulling in just slightly more for longer and getting lower, allowing myself to get lower, just because observing this lift and observing LJ taking off, it's super easy to climb back up to where I'm at. It's like, that's not a problem. And I think that'd be cool to kind of mess around with getting low, not like crazy low, like still like a couple 100 feet, maybe 300 feet. But I really stayed above like 600 for most of this flight after the takeoff and until the landing, essentially. And I think, in a little more foreshadowing, it's super fun flying by the ground. And it's like flying lower for my landing, stick around for that, was really fun. And I think on my next flight, I'm really looking forward to having the opportunity to fly lower again and then just be able to rise back up. Because I feel like that's kind of what ridge shorting is all about. Like, there's like one part of it that's really zen, you're sitting in the same place the whole time. And then another part where it's like, okay, I can mess around, go low, and then just instantly take this elevator right back up. Super cool. And I was watching this paraglider down there just ripping it. I'm like, man, I wish I was on a paraglider like 2 feet off the ground. I was like, nah, screw that. I'm on a hang glider. I'm loving life, and I'm having a good time.
Well, now I'm thinking about work, damn it. Oh well. This little move there, get a little bit of forward wind speed going. Kind of feeling it out. I had to pull in quite a bit that time to actually make it up, so yeah, maybe be a little more conservative in general, but feeling pretty dialed otherwise. I do want to get a little farther forward. Let's just bump around and check it out. I got altitude to burn here.
Reporting Chris Goulden is on glide towards the harbor with about 1,800 feet or so.
Good copy. Yeah, I'm at 700 right now. Highest I've gotten is 900. I've just been kind of playing around, going up and down a little bit here. I need quite a bit of altitude to get forward. That's crazy. So watch out for that. 7 gave up on launch, and we got LJ preparing for launch. Interesting. Wind is definitely building. Yeah, wind's building. Oh, LJ's up. Nice. Interesting. Definitely, I'm starting to get a little more cautious about what we're doing here as far as land with the way the wind's building up right now. See how it goes. So we got LJ down below. Cool. Wild. Kind of giving me some good tips here about what I'm looking to do. Just a good shot of LJ here. Just cruising just right behind me. Pace, man. Nice. So he's quite a bit farther behind me. That's interesting. Low rider. Willie, you think I should go for a landing at that speed?
Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, it's supposed to increase a little bit, so I mean, your call, but always nice to cash in your chips while you're ahead. But Billy says better earlier than later if it does pick up on.
So we now got LJ up in the air with me. That's super cool. It's really cool just like being able to look behind me. I see him there, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to get in his way. I know he's watching out for me, which is good, but I want to be a responsible pilot as well, and so I'm just kind of like using my mirrors here, like my peripheral vision, like on a car, kind of using my mirrors, like imagining where he is. I can't see him this whole time. I don't want to get in his way. I'm just trying to think about basically getting behind him, because I know he's probably going to get some altitude and then peel out of here. And so talking with Willie, you know, it's like 800, 900. For me, probably 1,000 feet on the Falcon 4. It would be good amounts to get to Ventura Harbor. I'm still in H2 at this flight, and so I'm not going to be thinking about going to Ventura at all for this flight. But it's kind of good things to know, good things to think about. And so just knowing that, I'm like, okay, he's trying to climb up. If I just pop back here and lose a little altitude or whatever, hang out, he's going to be totally fine doing his own thing. And so I'm just going to let him do that, and then I'll be able to see him, and I'll be kind of the pilot that has to avoid versus the pilot that's being avoided. And for me, that's more of a position of power, because I know that he's going to have good etiquette regardless, because he's an experienced pilot, knows what he's doing. So he's probably not even going to get in a position where I could get close to him. If he does, at least I'll still have the power to make my own decision, and I'm not worrying, okay, is he watching? I know that I'm watching, and that's just a good feeling, a good reassurance for me to have, that I'm kind of slightly in control of the, more in control of the situation, because, okay, I see him coming towards me, I can just turn away, no problem. And I'm ready to land basically at any point now, and so having that as an option, being able to just peel out, super nice. I felt much more easy doing that. I just wanted to hit an hour really bad. Felt like I was threading a needle, in the sense of every minute I go longer. I know the wind's picking up today. It's in the forecast. That's what everyone's saying. I can like literally feel it getting stronger and stronger. It's harder and harder for me to maintain my position. I'm having to start to pull in a little bit to maintain position. Not a lot. Not at the point where I don't think I overstayed my welcome at all. I probably could have stayed up for at least another 20 or 30 minutes, been totally fine.
Slow rider, I'm still up, but I'm gonna start heading towards the ground, I think.
I'm kind of, you know, trying to decide, threading this needle, when should I land? I want to hit an hour, but I also don't want to, you know, have a major problem because it's too windy to land. And so I finally hit an hour, and I'm like, all right, time to come in, like, relieved, but also kind of nervous. Like, I've been up in the air for an hour, my legs are all cooled down, like, if I have to run it out, are my legs going to be ready? I don't know. How's my approach gonna be? I gotta watch out for the water. I'm thinking about the water the whole time, and that's a major theme for this flight. I'm like, oh, I'm taking off, there's some water. Oh, I'm soaring around, there's some water. I just heard a horror story about how a dude drowned in the water, hang glider pilot, but basically, you know, he landed in the water, and then you got this blanket of death basically around you, because the wing gets wet, it starts getting a little bit, not even a big wave, like a 2-foot wave, 1 foot little breaking wave. And it can break the glider very easily when it's saturated with all that water, because it's so heavy. And then you're just kind of wrapped up around it. LJ at launch, you know, he's saying that, oh, is your carabiner loose? That's not how my carabiner works, it's just the twist, spring-loaded twist. So there's no adjustment there. I have a hang knife in my glider pocket, ready to pop out. I could cut my hang strap with that or whatever to get out of the situation if I was in the water. And we'll just see how close I get to that in a couple minutes here. A little bit of foreshadowing, a little bit of story building. Stick around, it's an exciting journey. This was so fun. I saw my shadow coming across the parking lot. I spot somebody near their car. They don't see me, I see them. I'm the hawk in the sun. They don't see nothing until they see my shadow. And they see my shadow, and it took me a second because I'm still really like overthinking, processing, brains at full capacity landing. But I just like
dragging that shadow. That is so fun.
As the shadow passes over, they're like, huh? What? And it's just such a fun feeling. In my opinion, it's a very harmless thing to do, but it is so satisfying and so funny to just catch somebody in surprise like that. And it's much better than I run a lot and I'll run by somebody and they don't hear me coming. I don't try to do this, but they don't hear me coming, and then I run by and they're surprised. And I hate doing that because I hate it when it happens to me. I feel awkward that I maybe scared somebody, and then I realize, it's outside, physically passing close to somebody, people don't like that. And I don't like when people do it to me. It's I don't enjoy doing that. And so I'll try to breathe heavier, shuffle my feet when I'm 100 feet out from someone, try to give them the audio cues. With the hang glider, man, fuck you. I'm gonna just pass my shadow over you, because as soon as you look up, there's no threat, obviously. You probably just thought it was a plane or maybe a random solar eclipse that you didn't know about. So I think that's hilarious. I'm all for that. So I'm just kind of zigzagging back and forth, slowly dropping my altitude, looking for a place to land. I don't want to hit any people, and I don't want to hit any wood. And then most importantly, don't hit the water, don't hit people, don't hit any wood. And then so I'm finally coming in here, thinking about so much, processing everything, and just watch where my hands go.
Holy hell.
Boom!
And we are down, boys! Woo!
So great landing, safe, felt great.
Low rider just
My hand stayed on the down tube the whole time.
breaking the glider down too.
Base tubing. I've done this before. Run the tape. This is my third or fourth whatever mountain flight. Maybe fifth. Never took the hands off the base tube. And it's so funny to me watching this back, because I didn't remember this at all. I remember talking to Willie after, talking to people after. They're like, oh, did you have to flare a lot? And I was like, nah, I didn't have to flare a lot, maybe just a little. Bruh, watching this back, I flared 0%. I could not flare because of where I kept my hands. And it's so obvious looking back on this, what was going on. Because I remember just how frustrated, flabbergasted, processed out I was about where I was landing, thinking about not going in the water, thinking about, is the wind too strong, thinking about, am I going to turtle the glider as soon as I touch down? First off, I was so worried about all those things. Second, I've never been in this situation before. I've never landed on a beach before. I don't know what it's going to be like. This is easily the highest wind I've ever landed in. So it's so obvious to me watching back, but even more hilarious that I thought I had put my hands up. Because of course I wouldn't do this the first time. I didn't do a good visualization before the flight. And now I know this is something I need to work on visualizing for new situations in general, and which I try to do. So flying at Silmar, I remember sitting in the shuttle up, just closing my eyes for 30 seconds, very similar to what I did in track in high school, and just visualizing, processing key moments, okay, putting my hands up on the base, on the down tubes, doing my big flare, things like that. Thank you so much for watching this flight. Please let me know what your thoughts are on how I edited it. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to give a huge shout out to you, the viewer. Thank you so much for watching my videos. It means a lot to me. YouTube's something I've always been interested in. I've never really had a good channel in my head, channel, not YouTube channel. Very confusing wording. Why would I pick that? I've never had like a good thing to regularly post about. Like I love making like creative one-off videos or like songs or a travel vlog or some scuba diving stuff. But this hang gliding journey has been really cool. And for me, it's really special to be able to share it in this format. And I hope, like for one, that it inspires people to take up hang gliding, because I want to have more hang gliding friends. I want more people to experience the joy that hang gliding has brought me, is from a community and just an action sport in general perspective. Yeah, I'm just so thankful to be in this opportunity where, in this position where people are excited about interacting with something that I'm making. I love making things, and I love to bring joy to people and entertainment to people. And so to have you watching this video that I made about something that I'm excited about, it just makes me so excited and so happy. And so I just really wanted to thank anyone watching this video. Thank you so much. Like, you maybe you realize, maybe you don't realize. I would assume most people don't realize just how much it means to me to have somebody be excited about something with me. And so I'm really thankful for that. And thank you so much for watching. If you're not already subscribed, smash that subscribe button. I want to see some more glider pilots out there. So get stoked on gliding. Yeah, so quite literally, quaking in my boots.